Hi everyone, welcome to the Laser channel. I am Greg and this is the Monport 40 watt CO2 laser machine, also known as a K40 style size machine. Now this is a great machine to get into CO2 lasers without spending a lot of money. Now I've used this machine in its fully stock form and it's very adequate. If you're looking for a little bit better user experience, some upgrades would be nice. And that's exactly what I'm going to do with this machine, is create a better user experience for myself by applying some upgrades to the machine. Follow along as I show you what I'm upgrading first on my machine. Welcome back. I'm really excited to share all of the upgrades that I'm going to be doing on my machine. Before I begin though, I just want full transparency to let you viewers know that this is a sponsored video. With that out of the way, I'm going to jump right into it with the first thing that I upgraded on my machine, and that's with the Afterburner inline water heater by Light Object. My studio here is in central Wisconsin. I'm recording this in the middle of winter. Last night, the overnight lows was in the negative digits. And this shop here is not heated all the time. And I want to make sure that I protect the investment in my machine, especially the laser tube that's surrounded by water. I don't want that water to freeze and crack the tube. That's something that's very common in the northern states here. I can keep my water system running at an operational temperature all the time without fear of the water freezing. Because it's at operational temperature or pretty close to it, I know that I can come out to the shop, turn my heater on, that's over my shoulder here, and a short time later, I'm ready to run my machine right away. Let's take a closer look at the front display of the Afterburner inline water heater. The inline water heater has a nice stylish round shape to it with this nice sturdy base. On the bottom is the main power switch, a nice easy to read display, an orange button in the middle here that takes you into the menu system, and then up and down buttons to go through the menu system. Speaking of the menu system and the display, let's take a yet even closer look at that. Now that I've got a nice close-up of the display, we'll see the top line here, flow meter. The voltage is set at 110 volts. The next line down is the flow, and this is an active readout. We're reading about 4 to 4.2 liters per minute. Below that is the temperature at 63.5 degrees. Across the bottom, we have this dancing arrow, and that arrow indicates that there is water flowing through the unit. Now this unit is a heater only. It does not have a water pump built into it. For that, it relies on an external water pump or the water pump running from a chiller unit. And on the back, there's going to be, of course, two coolant lines, one going in and one coming out, and the power cable. So there's not too much to see back here other than a nice clean layout. The inline water heater, a welcome upgrade to the system here, that I'm assured that my water jacket around my laser tube won't freeze and that my water system is at or near the operational temperature, so that when I come out to my shop, my cold shop sometimes, I don't have to wait for that water system to warm up. And you might be asking yourself, but Greg, if you just added this, what were you using to keep your water from freezing before? And that was the bucket reservoir that I had on the stock setup of the machine. That bucket, that had a heating mat underneath it. So having an inline water heater automatically control the range of the water temperature is a huge upgrade, and it's certainly very welcomed. And speaking of buckets of water, that's going to be a really great segue into the next upgrade that I did on my machine, and that is, it's time to ditch the bucket of water and the stock water pump that comes with the machine. And again, I use this in its fully stock form, and it functions with a bucket of water and that pump, but I really like that I purchased this machine bundled with the CW3000 water chiller. This water chiller features a nice large 2.5 gallon water reservoir. It has everything is taken care of on the inside of the machine, so there's nothing to program on here. There's only a couple water lines to plug in on the back. They include 2 hose clamps for that, plugging power up to the machine, filling up the water reservoir, and simply turning the machine on. It takes care of everything after that, and that's what I love. The other great thing that I like is that the water pump that's inside of this unit flows twice as much water as the stock pump that I just showed you before. So I've got a lot more water and cooling action going across my laser tube in the back of the machine here. And that's another great benefit for pairing this up with an inline water heater, is again that this water heater needs to have flowing water through the unit in order to have this heater turn on. I've had this chiller connected for about a week now. I've turned it on and I've just ran it around the clock. I've had 0 issues with it. Here's a nice close-up of the front of the machine. We can see that we have an active display in Celsius of the water temperature. We've got a green indicator light. Should something go wrong in our system, we've got a red indicator light. And of course, here's the main power switch. We have a nice fill port on the top of the machine. On the back of the machine, we'll see that we have 2 coolant lines. One will be in, one will be out. We've got the power cord, and just below the power cord is a port for an auxiliary alarm output. And here's the cooling fan, and right next to the cooling fan is our water indicator level. And here I'm going to show you everything that you need to know about the water chiller getting it set up for operation. We just saw the back. You hook the water inlet and outlet up. You fill the water in on the top. Once you have those 2 things done, it's ready to hit the power switch. It'll do a power check after it's done squawking and checking the alarm. And then we'll have the green indicator light saying that everything is normal. And the water chiller is now running and everything is all set. It's really that simple. I really like that. I also like that it's air cooled, meaning that this machine will not use a whole lot of electricity power to actively keep the water system cool on my laser machine. Now, speaking of that cooling power, because it is using air, this can only cool the water temperature down so much. But for this K40 style machine, that's going to be plenty because the work area is smaller and the laser won't be running as long if I was doing much larger projects. The other thing that really helps out the water chiller is that this is a 40-watt laser tube in here, so the combination of the lower wattage laser tube and the smaller work area means that overall this machine is not going to generate a whole lot of work, meaning the chiller will not have to work a whole lot in order to keep that water temperature down at a safe level for the laser tube. The next upgrade I did for 2 reasons. One of them is for health safety and the second is for ease of maintenance on the machine. And that was to remove the stock exhaust fan that's located in the back of the machine here and replace it with an inline fan. I chose this fan because it moves about 200 cubic feet of air per minute, and it's a nice balance of removing all the smoke from the work area but not removing all of the heat in my shop here during the cold winter months. You'll also note that I have some blue painter's tape across my inline fan here, and I'm going to get to that in just a minute. Now, I found that the stock fan that comes with these K40 style machines it really restricts the exhaust flow, so it's not so much hooking this up in addition to that stock fan, it's actually unplugging the machine, cutting the wires to the fan, capping those wires off, and then plugging the machine back in, but essentially fully removing that stock fan. Once that fan is removed, it really allows this exhaust fan to evacuate all the harmful smoke generated in the work area. Getting back to the blue painter's tape on my exhaust fan here, the two halves of this fan here, they kind of twist lock together and then they twist lock, unlock, meaning that there's a little bit of an air seam all the way around here. I found when I was cutting acrylic that a little bit of that exhaust was leaking through this twist lock seam on my inline exhaust fan, and I didn't want to breathe that in at all. Acrylic fumes are nothing to mess around with, so as a nice stopgap, I just took some blue painter's tape and put that around that twist lock seam. I talked about the health reasons for upgrading the exhaust fan. Of course, the exhaust goes through down here. The maintenance side is I don't want to have smoke lingering around this work area, because I found when I used the stock fan, I would have a lot of smoke, debris, and residue collect on this gantry frame, and I don't want that grit and residue on there accelerating the wear. I also found that I'd get residue and dust buildup on my mirror, and then when I had the stock lens module on here, I would get a lot of smoke residue on the bottom of the lens. So by upgrading the exhaust on here, I keep this whole area so much cleaner, and I find that I have to do less maintenance cleaning to keep everything running properly inside of the machine. Upgrading the exhaust fan is kind of one of those simple and basic things, but since I've upgraded that, I just find that I don't have any leaking exhaust coming out of the machine, and the maintenance, like I just mentioned, I have to do it less often, which means I can spend more time creating projects and less time taking care of the machine. We've now arrived to the last upgrade that I applied to my laser machine. And to show you that, we're going to go back inside of the workbed area. The last thing that I upgraded on my machine is the air assist. I saved this for last because, in my opinion, this is the best way to keep the smoke and residue off the laser lens. If I do a side-by-side with the stock laser lens assembly, we'll see that any flare-ups or smoke that I have directly come in contact with the lens, and I found that I had to clean this lens very often when working on projects. Air assist kits on laser machines are some of my most recommended upgrades on the machine when engraving or cutting. It does a number of things for us. Besides the obvious, we know that when we're cutting with an air assist kit, it pushes the smoke, the char, and any residue away from the laser beam trying to do the cutting. So it creates that clearer path for the laser beam to get cleaner, deeper cuts through material. The other thing that I really like about the air assist kits is that with the fresh air going past the lens, that does not give an opportunity for any of the smoke from the project to come up and hit the lens, meaning that I have to do far less maintenance cleaning on the focusing lens in this assembly than I would have to before. When I purchased the air assist kit for this machine, the kit stated that it would not fit a 12mm focusing lens, and the 12mm focusing lens is what comes stock on this laser machine. So I also purchased an 18mm focusing lens, and I thought, well, since I'm upgrading to an air assist kit, I may as well upgrade the focusing lens as well. Well, that's a really neat air assist kit, and to top it off, we'll need an air source, and for that, I'll provide a product link in the description down below on a very popular air pump that people use with kits just like this. That pump will flow over 100 liters per minute, and that's what I recommend for hooking up to an air assist kit like this one, is something that flows at least 100 liters per minute. Now, the pump that I've been using for about the past week, I'm reusing a pump from another machine to help keep the cost of my projects and these videos down. This air pump is from Atomstack, and it flows 60 liters per minute, which I think would be about the minimum that you would like to have for airflow. Just know that having some type of airflow coming out of your air assist kit gives you all kinds of benefits, but certainly more airflow will give you more benefit. The upgrades that I did on my machine are certainly not the only upgrades that can be applied to a laser machine, but these are the ones that I'm starting out with. If you've had upgrades that you put on your machine that you would recommend, let me and others know by leaving a comment down below. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please consider giving this video a like, subscribing to the channel, or ringing that notification bell. Doing any number of those things really helps this channel out, and it really helps connect content like this with great viewers like you. Until next time, learn, create, and share.